It's a glorious day, ladies and gentlemen. The book is officially out. The book is officially available. It is linked in the description. It's linked in the comment section. And what I wanted to do in this video today is basically tell you guys all about the book. Tell you what's in it, what's not in it. Basically give you the whole context of the book. I know a lot of you guys have already decided you're going to buy it regardless, but I just want to tell the people that maybe you're on the fence or maybe you don't know if you want to buy it or whatnot. I want to do a video strictly for you guys that you know exactly what's in this book. So there was a couple goals I had with this book. The main goal of this book was to purposely tell about exactly how I value a company, exactly why I pick a certain investment to make my, money go into. That's the main goal of this. Something I could never really do in a video because it's such a long process. It's such a ridiculously long process. So much goes into it. It would be unrealistic to ever do a video about it. This book took several months of work. That's how much it, went into this book. Another thing I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure every single thing in this book, every chapter, every word written in this book was absolutely vital. I did not want to fill this book with a bunch of BS, a bunch of rambling on about that got off subject, basically. So if it's not in this book, if it's not a metric or something I mention, it's not in there for a reason. It's because literally I do not care about it when making an investment decision. If there's not a specific metric in here, guys, it's because I don't care about it. It's because it's something I just don't care about when I look at an investment. This is only what I look for in an investment. And I got some other things in this book as well that we'll get into, but that was the main goal of this book, guys. And I released it for 10 bucks, so I wanted to be affordable for everybody. And it's funny, a lot of you guys actually said I'm pricing it too cheap, but I don't care. That just shows me how much you guys actually support me to even tell me something like that, because no one would ever say something's too cheap to, release. It just shows the love you guys have for me, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that I give you guys a great value, but I just wanted to be affordable for everybody, so that's why I did it for 10 bucks and several months of work, a lot of work. I mean, I could have produced like a million videos in the amount of time, but I'm proud of it. I'm super proud of it, and it's something I could say I've done in my life, and I hope you guys are going to love it. And by the way, if you buy it, before I even get into what's in the book, if you guys do buy it and you really enjoy it, please leave a review on Amazon, because people that have no clue who I am are going to come upon this book when they're on Amazon, right? In order for them to purchase that book, they're going to probably look at reviews of it in the past. And if it has hardly any reviews, then it's probably going to get passed over. So it would mean the world to me if you guys do purchase a book, you decide to purchase it, please, if you enjoy it, write a nice review in there, what you liked about it and things like that, guys, because people, they love to read reviews. And if something doesn't have many reviews, and they're not going to read it, they're not going to buy it, guys. And so that would mean the world to me specifically. So number one thing I want to mention before I go into anything, I put a specific email address in this book, which is directly to me. I think that's like the best customer service of any book could ever offer. I've read a million investment books over time. I've never read an investment book that at the end of the book, it had an email address where I could literally contact the author of that book and ask them if there's any specific question you have about this book. There's a private email address. You guys can send me the email on it. And now, make sure it's pertaining to something in the book, something I mentioned, a metric, something like that, guys. I try to explain everything really well in the book, so you won't even have any questions. But if you do not hesitate to email me and ask me, hey, you said this and that. What does that mean? Things like that. The email is not to ask me to look into some stock or something like that. It's strictly for things pertaining to the book and what's in the book. And if you're confused about something, or you just want to send me a nice message that you like the book or appreciate it or something, you're free to do that as well. But that's kind of what the email is. And I put that in there toward the end of the book because I just felt like it was great customer service. That's what I felt. So anyways, the book is called $0 to $200,000 by age 25, which is kind of the back premise of the book. I don't really go into the story. I've done a video on that on this channel. But the actual title of the book, which is below that, is Modern Long-Term Stock Market Investing Secrets by Jeremy from the Financial Education YouTube channel. Don't you love how I put that in there? I'm always trying to, shout out YouTube, because YouTube is the thing I love to build, guys. So Chapter one is basically just going to get into who I am and how did I get into stock market investing. That's just going to kind of give my backstory for people. It's mainly for like people that are going to buy the book who aren't subscribers of the channel. That's who this chapter is really for. For you guys, you probably know my story, especially if you've been following me long enough, watching my videos for a few months. You probably know most of my story by now. But that's what chapter one is, just kind of giving an introduction of myself to people who maybe don't know who Jeremy from the Financial Education Channel is. Chapter two, I go into Warren Buffett's influence on me, an amazing accounting teacher, and why I picked my type of investing style and how it kind of led to that and those kinds of things. That's what chapter two is about. Chapter three is literally for stock market beginners. It talks about how to actually buy a stock, how to purchase a stock, how to set up an account, things like that, what you do, all that kind of stuff. That's that chapter. And chapter four is when we actually get into the meat of the book, when we actually get into the good stuff, the valuing and all those kinds of things. So chapter four, which is really chapter one of the meat of the book, that is called Think About the Company You May Buy and Not the Stock You Might Buy. That's going to go into a lot of fundamental basis for the way to think about an investing. It's going to go into a lot of psychological stuff on how you want to view making a potential investment in a company. That is what that chapter is dedicated toward, and that's the beginning base of what I call modern long-term stock market investing. That's the beginning base. Without that base, without that mindset, without that psychological mindset, the whole process doesn't work. So that's why I made that chapter number one, because that's the foundation the whole house is laid on right there. Chapter 5, we get into the importance of competent management, skating where the puck will be. So that chapter, I'm going to go into all like judging. How do I judge an executive team? How do I judge a management team? How do I tell if they're going to where they should be going versus just trying to hold position? Things like that, guys. I go all into depth. And something you'll notice throughout the book is I give a lot of references to past successful investments and some that I have not made successful investments. And I'll reference some of these so it brings context to real life situations I've been investing where I've seen management teams do this or seen a company do this, and I give several references to actual investments I've made over time throughout this book. That's something I really try to do to connect the whole story together. The chapter 6 is about the vital importance of the balance sheet. In that chapter, I go all into balance sheet. It's just dedicated to balance sheet, specifically all the things I look for in balance sheet, what I subtract from this number, add to this number, all those kinds of things. My whole view in general of the balance sheet, how important it is. That's just, literally it's just a chapter about the balance sheet and how important it is. It might be the second most important chapter in the whole book, actually. Chapter 7, I talk about the income statement, everything I'm actually looking for when I look into an income statement, how many years back I'm looking into an income statement, ratios about, revenues versus net incomes, versus the previous year, things like that, like literally exactly numbers that I'm looking for and those kinds of things. That's all about the income statement in that chapter. Chapter 8, we get into gross margin, high profit business models. So that's all about the gross margin, all about telling how a gross margin's going, not just like whether it's going up or down, but why a company might specifically make a move and why maybe a lower gross margin sometimes might be better, why generally speaking a higher gross margin is better. Talk about different types of business models and the business models I prefer, which is more of a high profit business model. Talk about how you can decipher what companies are high profit business models versus not. I give specific examples in that chapter, all that kind of stuff. Chapter 9, we go into PE ratios and quarterly results. So that chapter, I'm talking about what I'm looking for, what specific PE ratios I'm kind of looking for in the range versus a forward PE ratio and kind of the differences between the two and based upon last year and those kinds of things. And I'm also talking about quarterly results, which is also, I'm giving some mindset stuff about how I view quarterly results, specific items I'm looking for in quarterly results that I'm like, okay, this I need to pay attention to. This is not that important, those kinds of things. That's what that chapter is all about. Chapter 10, we're talking all about brand. All about brand. How do you decide what's a great brand and what's not very good brand? I'm giving specific examples of companies that have strong brands, that I believe have strong brands versus companies that don't. Things like that, guys. That's all about brand in that chapter. Chapter 11, dividends, acquisitions, mergers, share buybacks. That chapter I'm talking about all 4 of those items, giving my opinion on dividends, my opinion on share buybacks, how I view those, how I view acquisitions that might work, ones that might not, mergers, giving my opinion on what's the best out of all those. That's just what that chapter is completely dedicated toward. Chapter 12, very important chapter. It's a chapter called Thinking Outside the Box. Info. And this is how to obtain and think outside the box when you're making an investment, you're trying to get information about investment. While doing it legally, there's a lot of outside the box things you can do to get information that other investors might not have, or might not care about having, or might not think about having. I'm going to give specific examples on investments I've made over time that I've thought outside the box on, and those kinds of things, guys. And you'll kind of open your mind up, so when you're starting to make investments, you're not just thinking about the fundamentals, which is absolutely key, but you're also thinking about, how do I obtain some information legally that is outside the box type thinking that will take you to the next level and give you an advantage over other investors, those kinds of things, guys. So chapter 13 is basically the recap chapter. I'm just recapping all the main points throughout the book, all the main points I made throughout all those fundamentals. And that's what that chapter is about. So you'll just have a quick reference of everything that was the most important stuff I talked about in the book. And I try to do a really good job of tying all the chapters together, making them flow together and whatnot. And after the recap chapter, that's basically the whole meat of the book. That's the whole meat of the book. Everything that I actually care for when I make an investment, it's already covered at that point. Then I just added a little other things I thought would be useful. So the next section, chapter 14, I basically did 10 big questions, like 10 frequently asked questions that are like, you really need to do some research on, really do some thinking about to answer these questions. So I did 10 of those. The first one was, which company will be the first to a $1 trillion market cap? I go into that into detail. Second question is, will the Dow Jones ever be 100,000? If so, when? And that answer is going to blow you guys away. I can guarantee you that. I don't even want to get into it. Number 3, I talk about small industry that's going to be a huge industry by 2025. So something that's, just a little thing right now, but in 2025, it's going to be a monster industry. Number 4 question I talk about, a non-healthcare sector that's going to save a lot of lives. I'd give it a great example there is something that's going to save tens of thousands of lives every single year. Number 5, I talk about the best piece of advice I could possibly give someone. That's what that's all about. Number 6, biggest business opportunity in the next 10 years. And that's business opportunity for small business owners, like people that are looking to maybe start a business. There's going to be in a ridiculously huge industry that's going to emerge here that no one's talking about. I can't find anybody talking about this right now. That question number 6, I'm going to give you guys the answer to that one. And if you're going to be a multimillionaire if you can make that successful, guys. This is going to be huge. Number 7, I talk about why religion is dying among millennials. We know millennials are going to the church the least of any generation ever in history. I'll give some examples on why I believe that's going on, which is kind of just a random question, but I love thinking about these type of big things going on in the world. Number 8, I talk about how to get out of the hood. For those of you guys who do not know, from the time I was born until I was about 12, 13 years old, I grew up in a horrible, I don't want to call it a horrible area, but I grew up in a rough area. And I saw my parents get out of there, and I kind of go into detail on my opinion on by far the best way and how you could realistically get out of there, guys. So that's what that chapter is about. That question's about. Number 9, I talk about the 2 keys to start a successful business. And number 10, the last question I talk about is the biggest life change a person could ever make. Biggest life change a person could ever make, in my opinion. Chapter 15, so after I've answered all those questions, chapter 15, I go into definitions, and I have a massive amount. It's like 30, 40 definitions that I feel every person in the stock market should understand these terms. I try not to recover definitions that I might already explain in the book. I try to do a lot of different ones, but a lot of definitions that beginners in the stock market and just anybody in the stock market in general need to understand these definitions. So I did that just as a quick reference for you guys. All those are like my definitions too, like ones I try to explain the simple way possible, not like just copy paste from the dictionary type stuff. Like those are my definitions for them. Chapter 16, as we talked about, the email address directly to me. If you have any questions among the book, I'll try to get back to you within 48 hours or so. Maybe even quicker than that if you got any specific questions or if you just want to say something nice. And chapter 17, the last one, is just a thank you chapter where I'm basically just talking about all the people I'm thanking, which is going to be you guys as well. You guys are mentioned in there. So I hope you enjoyed this today. Once again, if you want to buy the book, it is in the comment section, and it should also be in the description. And I should have it in the comment section for probably like the next 2 weeks. I'll probably have it as like the pinned comment, the link to the book, and then I'll also have it in the descriptions for probably ever in this book. But once again, if you guys do buy it, please, if you enjoy it, leave me a review on Amazon, because it will help so freaking much. You guys don't even know, it helps so much. So let's see how many we can sell within the first 48 hours. That's Amazon, like they judge that so big, like how many sales we get within the first 48 hours. And maybe I'll even update you guys on like how sales numbers are going, and like, are things beating the expectations and things like that. Maybe I'll just let you guys know. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this today. I hope you enjoy the book if you buy it. A lot of work went into it. I try to include only the important stuff. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. If you just came across this, everybody that's watching this is already subscribed. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a great day.